Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Southmain Auto Channel. Got a 2008 Hyundai. It's the Tucson. It's got the big V6. I don't know which one. It's big. You guys might recognize this vehicle, or perhaps you don't. If you're a longtime viewer of the SMA channel, this thing came in once, and I believe it had some kind of charging issue because we replaced the ground cable here, and if I remember right, it was all crudted up down there. Big voltage drop, something like that. I'll find that video and see if I can link it. And at that moment, at that time, the lady also had this intermittent problem with this battery going dead. And at that time, I believe when I checked, I had to look in my notes, it's been a while, there was no draw. It was, well below the acceptable limit, But now it started to act up again. And it's been quite a while, probably more than 6 months. But apparently it's been going dead. She's had the local shop where she lives come over and jump in. We've done alternators and batteries and all this stuff, and now it's still going dead, so it seems to be present all the time. Whoa, dude. When I said we put alternators and batteries in this car, I didn't mean we like me. I meant the other shop. They did a series of alternators and batteries in it to, fix some problems. Just wanted to clarify that. Not me, not my shop. I wanted to bring you along in this video because I wanted to show you that typically when we do battery draw testing, we do it by checking voltage drop across the fuse. You go through, because cars take a tremendous amount of time to time out. This car does not, however. So we can employ a different method, kind of an old school method, if you will, and go about it that way. So let me show you that method. Most of you know it, but I'll show you that there isn't actually an appropriate time to use it, in which case it can be faster than going through with the voltmeter and doing voltage drop across each fuse. And that technique is great, especially when a car takes a long time for it to time out. So because I already had this car hooked up, because I wanted to see how long it took it to time out, I did it while I went to lunch. So the car sat here for about an hour, well, actually 54 minutes exactly, while I was in eating lunch and flirting with Mrs. O. I came out and the battery draw was exactly what it was when I went to lunch. And I've never seen a car really take more than 45 minutes. I mean, most cars do respectively time out within, 10 to 15. At least cars that I work on. What I did find is this. When this car times out, which takes about 45 seconds, okay, that's it. From 45 seconds, I get this 113 milliamp draw from the battery. So with it timing out so quickly, instead of measuring voltage drop across all these fuses, we can grab a pair of pliers and simply start plucking fuses, because even if we pluck one that we put back in, all of a sudden everything wakes back up, we only have to wait 45 seconds for it to go back to sleep. Now the only time that would be annoying is if every one we pull makes it wake up, which is pretty unlikely. So I just wanted to show this. So now we can start. So that's the reason why I'm doing it like this instead of like we normally do it. The battery's just about pooched in this thing here. So I'll put this here so we can, mostly so I can see it, but so you can see it too. And if my theory is correct, we'll stick that like that. And then we'll move it on down the line, one at a time. And hopefully one of these will drop it dead. Oops, get back in there. What are some other negative things about doing this way? Well, you could reset presets. That's a negative thing. But who cares, because the battery's already been dead a bunch and she's had to jump start it. So it's probably not that big of a deal. I'm going to pull all the easy fuses first, and then we'll go with the J-case fuses, which are a little more fragile. Oh, it's that guy right there. You got a defective fuse, lady. Let's make sure we just didn't hit that on accident. Which one was that? That was this one. Oh, look at that. Our draw's back. Hey, even blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. And then you pull it out, and then we go to a respectable draw 13. Hey, it's that guy. 13 milliamps, that's great. Okay, does that mean the fuse is bad? Does it? No. In the words of my daughter, no. Let's see. She doesn't talk like that. I just pick on her like that because once in a while I get her riled up and she does. So which fuse is this? That's that row there. Number 14. That's fuse number 14. And that says, ooh, it's the sensor. It's got a bad fuse and a sensor. I knew this lady was right. She says, yeah, Mick, it's probably... She doesn't talk like that, a little bit like that. It's probably a bad sensor. She's got a heavy New York accent. Okay, well that was easy. We're smooth sailing from here, folks. Let's find out what fuse the sensor fuse runs. Probably a lot. 15 amp. We've probably got a defective sensor. Let's stick that back in there so whatever component is bad stays bad. We don't want it to cool off or fix itself. Let's look that up, see where that circuit goes. Well, I was just looking in service data and wire diagram, and it says there's a sensor 1, a sensor 2, a sensor 3. So I come, it's about as handy as a broken PP. Look at this thing, sensor, sensor, sensor. So a 15, a 10, and a 15. So it's one of the 15 amp sensors. Great, that's handy. Thanks, Hyundai. Rule number 1, never trust service data, especially aftermarket data and OEM data. Sensor 3, 15 amp. Sensor 2, 15 amp. Sensor 1, 15 amp. So we can't even use this process of elimination. Frick! We're gonna try to find some OEM service data. That one goes to the PCM. Sensor 2 goes to the mass airflow, the main brain box, a couple O2 sensors, and a couple more O2 sensors. Great. Sensor 3 goes to intake tuning valve, oil control valve, the main brain box, the variable intake manifold valve, oil pressure control valves, canister vent valves, purge valves, yada yada yada. This should be easy. Oh my gosh. If we can't figure out in service data which one's sensor 1, sensor 2, sensor 3, one thing we can do is see what components each of these fuses individually control and then go to those individual components, at least one of them, the easiest one to get to see are we missing power, and then we'll at least know which leg of the sensor fuses we're dealing with. Mrs. O wasn't in the office, so I spared you that. Let's see, how does this go? Let's make sure we line this up. Does that go like that, do you suppose? Go like that, no. Yes. No. That's not the same. I freaking literally hate paying for crap information, man. I probably just have it all wrong. Go like this. Oh, look at that. I love paying for good information. See how quick our attitudes can change. Okay, so it goes like this. Top to bottom, left to right, Eric. And then our fuse is third row, that one. Whatever that says. Let's grab a magnifier here. And turn it on, and it says, oh, I think that says sensor something. Does that say number 3? Let me set you down. I spy with my little eye sensor 1, sensor 2. I think that's a 2. I think that's a frick. I think it's sensor 3. I think it's number 3. And number 3, according to this, look at me pretending like I can see it like a big boy. Purge control solenoid valve, oil control valve, the brain box, intake valve, canister close valve. Let's verify this by going to the purge. That should be the easiest to get to. Well, this is frustrating. Just waited 3 business days for my paper to print. Then it didn't print well. So then I get meddling with the printer. And we were missing magenta. Inkjet tank printer, you put all the ink in it. Tanks are full. Now after going through the head cleaning process, we've got magenta back, but we have no black. And finally, after like an hour of messing with it, I'm done. Let's make sure that this is still broken. I just clicked the wrong button. We're gonna back out of here. We're gonna make sure this is still broke, and then we're just gonna shine okay, so we're still broke, 113 milliamps. My question to myself was, I said, self, Is that fuse supposed to be powered up? Let me grab a test light. Because I thought it was odd being, you know, a sensor fuse, so to speak, and that it potentially runs what it runs. Yeah, I guess this is still valid to clip onto this. Ding dong. You know, the fact that it could potentially run the purge valve and stuff like that, I'm like, why does that have full-time power? It shouldn't. Look at that, it does. Well, I mean, obviously it does, because we wouldn't have current draw if there wasn't any power there, if that fuse wasn't powered up. That's not always a true statement, enough power to light a test light, but that fuse is powered up. So I think we can probably eliminate the thought of any sensor being the problem, because I don't think that fuse is supposed to be hot at all times. Hey, Windows 3.1 called, they want their screensaver back. Okay, here we go. So sensor 3, so this is the bus bar here, goes over, around, and it's gonna go up, over, bang, look at that. Comes from an engine control relay, a double donger. So does that mean, that means ignition, if that relay is on, ignition coil fuse 20 amp would also be hot. Ignition coil fuse 20 amp, that'll test our theory out here to make sure it's just not shorted to another circuit. Ignition coil number 27, and that is number 27 right there. Oh look, this thing got some aftermarket relay in it, number 27, which we need to get our test light. I'm trying not to get you guys all sick to your stomach here. Let me clip this back on. I'm trying not to, but hey! Clipped on, confirmed, 20 amp fuse, bing, bang, boom. That is number 27. It ain't supposed to be hot, old son. I don't think the relay is not being stuck on electrically. I think we just have a bad relay. If it's stuck on electrically, let's say the control side of that relay was latched, we would have more than 113 MAs. ECU main fusible link 40 amp. That says ESC. I don't know if that is actually a 40 amp fusible link. I doubt it. ECU number 23. That's a little guy. That is not our 40 amper. All right. Well, just for poop and laughter, that's a start relay. This is ECU main. According to our survey, according to our diagram, ECU main is the one that runs that fuse. Let's just hear if we hear it click. Oh, just a minute. Turn off the furnace. Oh, shit, that's the wrong time. Here we go. Are you ready? Well, of course, we should see power leave this fuse as well. No, I'm not hearing it click. And looky, of course that fixes the problem. This should not be latched. However it is. And I'm a guessing, if I'm a gambling man, if we take this apart. Now this is not a double donger like I thought it was. At least this relay is not. This relay is, it is a double pole in the sense that it has 87A. But the way that wire diagram is, shows it a little different, so that's interesting. I'm curious to know if this is the correct relay, hands down, because if the wiring diagram is correct, then this is not the right relay. That relay and the wiring diagram shows it open or closed, both of them at the same time, where this is an 87A relay, where either one load side is going to be on, or the other one is either 87 is going to be hot or 87A is going to be hot. And that's that in a bag of chips. Interesting. Let's see if we can find a factory diagram. I just went in and messed with the printer for another hour because I wanted to print it out and show you. I looked up an OEM diagram, and indeed it's supposed to be a double throw relay. It does not show a relay like this. I'm going to Google this part number that's on there for those of you who are trying to play along. The part number, the number I see on top of the relay is a 04727 Alpha Alpha. That sure sounds an awful lot like a Chrysler part number to me. I think somebody might have given her the old switcheroo. Now, what relay is that? That's the start relay. There's probably no other relay that looks like this. What's this one? That is rear heated relay, whatever that one is. Those are the only ones that look similar. Just for poop and laughter, I'm gonna pull it out here. I want to see what the diagram. Okay, so it's only a 4-pin. Yeah, so the Hyundai relay has a Hyundai part number on it. Interesting. Let me do some looking. It would be so peculiar that the problem would have been intermittent. I'm going to check my notes from when this lady came in originally with her intermittent draw, because there's no way that this draw is going to be intermittent or go away, unless I just clearly lied to her about diagnosing it, which I doubt I did. I'm thinking somebody has been touching things. So I came in the office here and I'm doing a little hokey pokey, and I show that Napa shows this ECU relay. Look at that jumbo. But look at the bottom of it. Looks like your standard run-of-the-mill 5-pin, except pin 87 and pin 87. No 87A. You got your classic 30, 86, 85, and 2 87s. So what does that mean? That it's a dual throw and it's not an 87, 87A relay? That's my big fat guess. I can have one tomorrow. There's only 5 in the entire Napa system. I'm wondering if we can get a hold of Eklund or whoever makes this for Eklund to find out if that's the case. Do they have a little wiring diagram for us of the internals of this? Because none of them are in the pictures. All right, let's Google this one and see what this one actually came out of, or what that, if that is a Chrysler number. What do you know? What do you say? That's a Mopar relay. I just made that up, I'm not gonna lie. Wrong relay, folks. Just because it's got 5 pins doesn't mean it's the right one. I'm hoping you can help me with a question about a relay, if I give you the part number for it.
Okay.
It's an AR, like Alfa Romeo 7092.
Okay, what's your question, sir?
Can you tell me how that's wired on the inside? Is that a dual throw relay with 2 terminals that turn on and off when the relay's turned on and off?
You mean at the same time?
At the same time, correct. Yeah, instead of like a standard 87, 87A relay, does this one turn on both legs at the same time?
Yes, it does.
It does, okay.
87, 87A, yep.
So this one has 87, just 2 87 terminals, not an 87 and an 87A?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so both of the 87s will be hot when the relay's turned on, or
yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Sir. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
So it's exactly as we suspected. And I don't know if I've ever ran across a relay like this, to be honest with you folks. So my first time. Perhaps I've seen them, but I've never seen one broken, so I didn't know, and I just wanted to find out for sure. Now we know for sure. I'll order it. We'll have it here in the morning. We'll talk to whatever hoo-ha slip this thing in. So this makes me wonder, did or will this have an intermittent battery draw problem now? Or has this, no, there's no way that was in there. Let me look up on, I'm going to see if I can find the notes from this lady when I did it last. But the last time I looked at it, it was another shop had brought it here. So I don't know if I have notes here. Okay, oh, I do have notes here. Time needed to diagnose customer complaint, parasitic draw and charging system, no working right. This is definitely my notes with grammar like this. Battery light on, flickering dash lights with blower on. Tech found battery draw key off was over 50 milliamps. Tech traced problem to aftermarket remote start. Tech unplugged aftermarket remote start, and battery draw was less than 13 milliamps. So that seems to stand true with what we have currently. And that says Tech found vehicle would stop charging when high load is applied. High beams, high blower, brake lights, rear window defogger on. Tech found over 2.5 volts of voltage drop on ground circuit. Tech identified the problem to be the negative battery terminal and cable. A new battery cable was installed and it was relocated to provide a better connection. Vehicle now works as it should. And that was on 4/24, so almost a year ago. And it sounds like, and I see all the aftermarket remote wires and crap hanging under the dash, so at that point this relay was not in there, because there is no way a year ago, or almost a year ago, 9 months ago, no, 9, God, why am I trying to do math on the internet, 8 months ago, a while ago, there's no way that this was in there, because there's no way I would have missed 113 milliamp draw when I have notes on the estimate here, or on her bill rather, from that time. That's all I gotta say, folks. Somebody's had their fingers in there between then and now and installed this, so that's it. That'll fix the car when we get the new relay. Wow, that was fun, huh? Who's having fun? You having fun, Vanessa? Are you? Let's see how fun. Wow, that looks like you're having a lot of fun. Whoa, what are you doing? I didn't know you were gonna tear that thing apart.
Why not? It's not working.
Holy smokes, girl. What are you
trying to make some room
in where?
the maintenance thing.
Oh wow, you're cleaning out the maintenance tank? Is it full?
It does seem full.
Oh. And
so I'm reabsorbing it and seeing if I can make it work.
Did you learn that on the internet?
No.
You're just going at it all. Just wow.
Maybe you can make a video about this if it works.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe there already is one. I don't know.
Oh, could be. So that's super interesting. Okay. What did we start out making this video for? Oh, because we were showing a different way to check for draw testing, but we didn't, I guess we proved that theory, I suppose. I think that's what I was initially going to show you, is just that, you know, on systems that shut down quickly, it's okay to go and pull fuses because it doesn't disrupt your testing. And frankly, it's quite a bit easier than going through there with your meter. At least it is for me, you know, fat fingers, crappy eyes. But that's it. So this was a self-inflicted problem. So likely anybody watching this video is not going to have this issue, and it's not going to be helpful in any way, shape, or form. Generally on these, if you got a Hyundai Tucson, you got a battery draw around 200 milliamps. It's the radio, the fuse is inside. It's the radio one fuse. You pull it out, the draw goes away. Very, very common on these. As a matter of fact, there's a service bulletin on it. So if you're watching this video and you made it this far, this isn't your problem. Go pull your radio fuse, see if your draw goes away, or carry on like we were. Hope that helps. What is interesting? How in the thunder does this car function? Because theoretically, I was just going to end the video, but then it hit me like a ton of whale turds that when this car runs and starts, that fuse should become inactive. And why don't we have a crap ton of codes? Because number 87A should all of a sudden switch to 87, thereby killing that fuse. Let's test that theory. Does that make sense, right? Because both of them, unless somebody tore this thing apart, and all of the sensor, I mean, that can't. Let me spin that around about 9 more times. That can't be right. Sensor 1, 2, and 3 can't all be. If that relay was functioning like that. So sensor 3, and then where's the other sensor ones? So we have sensor, so 25, 26, number 25 and 26, which are these ones. Son of a gun. Because they don't all work off the same side of that relay. Look at that. Somebody tore that relay apart, I bet. Let me turn the key on. Let me stick the key in here. Stand by, folks. Key's on right now. And these all stayed hot. Look at that, yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Key's back off. So that's interesting. Because I think if we look at the diagram, I think sensor 1, sensor 2, sensor 3. How is this working? Oh gosh, it's almost not worth figuring out. But that's interesting. It's interesting that it works and it doesn't disrupt any of the other circuits, because our trigger circuits all should be the same. That's really curious. Okay, so this is 85 and 86. So this has full-time power. So this one should turn to ground when the key is on, and that's what would activate the relay. Let me just flick the key on and see if that turns on. Look at that. Okay, let me show the headlights and stuff on. The reason the blower and all that stuff's on with the key on is because I didn't want to change any settings and lose this parasitic draw. Okay, so technically this relay should click when we install it. I got it tore apart here. It should. It does. But you're telling me that even though that clicks, that these, how in the hell does that? Terminal. Yeah, so that's 30 and that's 87, 87A. How the frig? I need to make sure that this thing's still wired independently. Make sure there's no funny monkey business going on here. Let me get my homemade jumper lead here. I'm just curious. It shouldn't go up in smoke here. This should, so that's 87. So this should light up. It lights up all of them. Then what the hell does 87A light up? So that lights up those. Sensor 1, 2, and 3. 25, 26, 27, right? 25, 26, and 14. It doesn't matter if I go into 87 or if I go into 87A. As somewhere these must be tied together. Then what in the world do we need a dual throw relay for? I got to go look at a diagram. Because let's say, like hypothetically, so one of these is 87, the other one's 87A, we'll call it. Right? Am I looking at this right? What do we have 5 pins for? We have a full-time power, we have a control. Gosh, I feel like I'm just confusing myself at this point. I'm taking it to the stupid level. So we have our full-time power, then we have our control, and then we have our full-time power that feeds our 2 loads. Those are our 2 loads. This is our full-time power. And then 85 and 86. Full-time power, control, which we verified worked, turning the key on, that has power on it. And we have full-time, we have power here that runs these 2 loads. Oh, there's my 5th pin. I wasn't looking. Okay, pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This leg coming out here goes around, comes down, feeds sensor 2, continues to go down, feeds sensor 1, but sensor 3, which is right here, that comes up, that goes over, and that's fed off a second leg. Somewhere these are tied together. Because otherwise this would never ever work. That relay would never start this car. You would have a host of codes for all of the stuff that runs off sensor 3. I'm gonna have to go look at a factory diagram, because that's what had me confused. I'm getting ready to do my little closing shenanigans that I do, and I'm like, wait a minute, that shouldn't work, because what's the point of having a dual throw relay? Because let's see here, ignition coil fuse 20 amp runs off one of those legs as well. Let's see if that one becomes hot. Which one was ignition coil? Ignition coil, that was number 27, which that's this 20 amper here, which that should be dead now. Well, actually all these should be dead. Okay, let's jump over to, I think we already checked this. Does that power up my coils? It does. So theoretically, when we go to the other load side, it should not power up my coils, but it does. Somebody's been meddling in things they ought not be meddling in. And do you think it has anything to do with this tape, fresh tape down here? Somebody's had their beaters in there. I'll tell you that right now, because that should not work. It's true, folks. Okay. Oh, I didn't think of this before. Slacking. So factory diagram, engine control relay, dual throw. One leg of it, only one leg of it, feeds ignition coils, which that was like fuse 27, and then the sensor number 3 fuse, which is the fuse that had, you know, the current draw. There's somebody on here is a current consumer, probably, who knows. Whatever, that doesn't really matter, it's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is they are completely independent circuits. This part of the relay and that part of the relay, they're totally independent. Otherwise, who cares? You know, why have a dual terminal relay if they're all hooked together? And then we can see the other portion of it here comes in on H and feeds sensor 2 and sensor 1 fuse only. So somewheres along the line here, somebody has gone through and hooked those circuits together and, you know, replaced that relay. I don't know. If it's not causing a problem with the correct relay, I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna sit here and open this up and work it all backwards and find out who did what and who did it where. Because I don't know, you know, if they've done anything, I don't want to say irreversible damage, nothing's irreversible, it's just, if it's not really causing an issue, everything is still fuse protected. I don't know if it's going to overload that one line of the relay. I'll have to do some more testing once I get the right relay. That is frustrating that somebody did that. Idiots. I suppose it's really gonna depend on how they hook those two circuits together, because if the relay's latching both and it's feeding both, it's not gonna overcurrent the relay across, because it's gonna split it across both the terminals. I'll have to look into this a little bit. Idiots. Keep your fingers off it if you don't know what you're doing. That's what I do. When I don't know what I'm doing, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. You have to go somewhere else. That's what I tell people. But in a case like this, it's pretty elementary stuff. But anyhow, I don't know. I'm gonna keep on keeping on. At least maybe you learned something. The last little bit there, I got on a tangent just for my own knowing. Like, wait a minute here, how in the world does this thing work? And chances are somebody else said that too. How in the world does this work? Why isn't this one leg of the relay staying hot? And this is the problem, that when you have a relay like that that has a standard base, you can't just go swapping them, folks. There's oftentimes there's, diode suppressed relays and non-diode suppressed relays, or relays like this where it looks similar to what you're thinking, but it's not. And if you don't understand how the load side and the control side of the relay works, don't just go swapping them around, okay? Or if you do, at least put it back where you found it. Or if it belongs in a Dodge, don't stick it in a Hyundai. Why don't you guys get your little Hyundais down in that comment section? Questions, comments, the Insta, the Facebook. You know what to do. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Most of you can. Whoever worked on this one couldn't. But you can. You just got to try. Thanks for watching.